This time I have a Superscope C202LP by Marantz. This is a 2-speed mono cassette recorder. It'll record at regular 1 7/8 and 15/16, so it doubles your recording time. So a 90-minute tape becomes 3 hours, 90 minutes per side. These were popular with reporters, police departments, etc. for interviews. Anytime you needed to record a long recording without an interruption to turn the tape over, that's where these were popular. We're going to overhaul this one and get it working. Look what we got today. We have a Superscope by Marantz C202LP. I guess that's a P, yeah, looks like a P. Tape recorder. LP as in long play. Yes, this is a 2-speed deck. It's mono, obviously. It's a tape recorder. This would be something that would have been used by reporters or for interviews. Maybe police would use this for an interview because they could get, instead of 45 minutes on a side on a tape, you could get an hour and a half because it runs at half speed. It has a 2-speed switch on the side. It says long play, 15/16 IPS, standard play, 1 7/8. It has a auto record level, a limiter, and manual record. So this thing should make some pretty good sounding tapes. In mono, of course. A good thing, well, somebody got batteries go corroded in here at some point. There's some rust in here. Maybe it's just rust. Maybe it wasn't battery juice leaking. I have no idea whether this thing works or not. I guess the first thing to do is to turn it on and see whether the tape reels spin. So I'll turn on the power and oh, look, I press play, things move. How about rewind? Rewind works too. And it auto stops. Oh, what's that? Okay, so it's sitting there going click, 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 like the auto stop is trying to run constantly, so I'm thinking it has a problem. And this one's going to probably use a mechanical auto stop that stops it when the take-up hub stops turning. So let's stop it. And it does stop. Same with fast forward. When the tape hits the end, but it should stop a lot quicker than it is. So it's not stopping on fast forward, which it should. But it does stop on rewind. At least it did. Whether it's still there, it does. It works on rewind. It's getting warm in here. And not only the AC is on in here, but I've also turned on the fan because it's a hot one today. I tell you, I've had the AC running on here for a couple of hours to bring the temperature down. It's still 25 Celsius in the shop. It's warm. But we're going to get into this one today. I think this would be an interesting one. I'm going to get my little blue mat to this. This is an interesting tape deck, vintage, made by Marantz, sold under the Superscope brand. I don't know whether this was made in Japan or where this was made. I guess we'll find out once we get into it. But we'll take you guys along for the ride and take a look at what would have been a relatively high-end personal recorder back in the day. Like, this would have been an expensive machine. You got to remember, cassette recorders of this era, most of them were mono. Now, there were exceptions to that. I have a couple of them around here somewhere. Of course, you guys have seen my TCD5M Sony. Okay. This one's a little bit bigger than the Sony, but the Sony recorded stereo. This one's monaural, but you still get a level meter. So it should give you some pretty darn good sound. I don't know what the circuitry's like in here. It says servo control. So I'm expecting it might be an FG motor just like this to operate it. But let's get it apart and take a look. And this one here, incidentally, I bought for $10. So to get into this one, we'll just remove some screws from the bottom and the unit should pop apart. Hey, it says designed by Marantz, USA. But they didn't make it there. Where did they make it? In Japan? Superscope, Chatsworth, California, USA. Designed by Marantz. But where the hell did they make it? It'd be interesting where this was made. but it was certainly designed by Marantz, and this was at the time when Marantz was still operating out of the States. So it may have been made there. I guess we'll find out if I see any stickers that say where it was made. How does it come apart? I must be missing a screw, because it certainly feels like there's another screw in here somewhere. Or is it the top that lifts off? I don't even know how this thing comes apart. Maybe it's the top that lifts off. It looks like the top might lift off this. Okay, let me just pop out these controls. And this one on the front. I think the top might lift off this as opposed to the bottom. I'm going to unplug that. Alright, that's what does come off. The top does come off, but the speaker doesn't and the microphone doesn't, but the rest of it does. Alright, there is the inside of this unit, and even the belt looks to be okay. Like, the belt's fine for the counter. The idlers look to be fine. See how we can get into the bottom of here. I want to clean the record play switch and stuff. And the microphone's hooked up here. And the speakers here, I doubt that they're going into plugs. Maybe they are. They're probably hardwired. That's typically what they did back in this era, was they just hardwired everything. Well, what holds down the chassis? There's more screws here that hold the chassis down. Down below, but we'll remove these chassis screws. I just want to get to the mode, like the record play switch, because you know that it's going to need to be cleaned. Everything else might be okay on here. The auto stop mechanism, I got to figure that out why it's not working properly, but got to kind of figure out how this chassis is screwed down. There's another screw here. Alright, now the chassis will lift out of this unit. Well, it'll sort of lift out. Sort of as in a couple of inches, a couple centimeters. It's all held down by wires and stuff here, so we gotta try to make some room. Oh man, there's even more of them on the bottom here. This must have been made in the States. Only the Americans would do something like build it like this. What else is holding this up here? There's gotta be another screw down here somewhere that's holding this in place. Let me just see if I can find it. It looks like this bracket is held in here somewhere. Headphone jack. I don't see any more screws unless there's something on the bottom here. No. But this appears to be held in place from something. Oh, there's a screw on the side. I can see it. Of course, the handle will probably fall out now. Yes, of course. There's a screw over here. Let's remove this one. And then maybe the chassis will lift up. Alright. We'll try it a second time. Now will it lift out? Oh, come on. What the fuck? It's attached to the circuit board. Does that mean I have to take out these screws on the circuit board on this side and lift the board out with it? It doesn't make sense because it's not attached to the board on this side. But we'll take these ones out and see what happens. May never work again. Alright, now, lift out now. Will everything lift out? Yes, it will. Okay. Sort of. So there's the bottom, complete with, like nothing's on plugs, everything's hardwired in here. But the belt looks to be okay. Both of these belts look okay. So I'm not going to change them. I'm going to try it first. But there they are if they need to be changed. The record play switch I want to clean is right back here, and that's really what I want to see is that. There's the circuit board. As a number YX41671210. I want to give this a shot of cleaner, so let me grab my contact cleaner here, and we'll give a shot of cleaner down this switch because you know that it's going to need cleaning. Okay, I guess I'll reverse what I just did, put the board back in. I want to see why that auto stop mechanism is not working. But that's weird how the board is attached on one side over here to this, and then there's screws on the other side that hold the board down. So if you weren't careful and tried to lift this chassis up without removing all the screws, you'd end up with a broken board very easily. You know, it's funny, when I worked in the shop, if one of these were to walk in the door, they would have been immediately told, it's not worth fixing. Not worth fixing at any price. That's a cheap tape recorder. Throw it out. That's what they would have been told at the shop that I worked at, because this type of stuff, Marantz, Superscope, that stuff was all, we were all told it was junk. Everyone said, oh, that stuff, that American stuff is junk. Buy some Japanese stuff. You know, buy a Sony. That was the attitude back then. Even though the televisions made in the States, Zenith and RCA, they were very good compared to when they went to Mexico, and I guess it was both of them went to Mexico, that the quality went down when they went to Mexico. I plug it back in, give it power, and it doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? Oh, it worked before. I think I broke it. I broke it by taking it apart. Now I gotta figure out why it doesn't work. I know why it doesn't work. It's because the cord that I've got here is not the right cord, and it's not depressing the switch. I bet that's what it is. Yeah. That's precisely what it is. There's a switch in here that the cord depresses. Okay, so this is the auto stop mechanism working here. You can see it spinning away. And that's how it works, is when the reel is turning, it keeps this, the friction on here keeps moving this lever back, and when it stops turning, if I stop it, you'll see what happens. It's actually stopping the flywheel, probably because the capstan belt probably needs to be replaced. Nope, the capstan's turning. It must be the other belt that's slipping a bit. The one that drives the drives. That's what's happening. But normally what happens, if I put it in play, it's on reduced torque, it'll work the same way. This is the auto stop mechanism here. As you can see, that lever is riding up and down on a cam. If I stop this from turning, what's going to happen is this cam is going to push this lever over, and it's going to hit a little trip. Watch. See? And that's supposed to stop it, but we have a belt that's weak, so I guess we'll need to replace that one. On rewind, it will work every time. And now the mechanism is tripping, because this should stop. That's what's happening here. When it stops, let's watch the motor contacts back here. They stuck. You see what's going on here? This lever is stuck. That lever should pull back, or this one here. That one should pull back. That lever is stuck. And now this is stuck. So that lever is sticking. That's why it's making that noise. It's keeping the motor running. So we'll lubricate this. It looks like it's sticking right down in here. Yeah, that lever's stuck. So let's just get some oil, and we'll just put a bit of oil on this metal. Just put it right there, and see if that will work in. There. That's got that problem fixed. See, now it doesn't do the click, 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 click. It was just this lever was sticking right down there where the two metals make contact. So let's replace that belt that's slipping. So I'll pull the mechanism again. I'll pull these two screws out, lift out the chassis, lift it up and out. And we need to get to that belt on the bottom. Take this screw out over here again. So the belt is slipping is going to be this one here, not the capstan belt. Although it probably wouldn't hurt to replace it while I'm in here, but I don't know if I've got one, but we'll see what I've got here. Do I have one to replace this? If I've got both of them, I'll swap them both out, but we'll see what I've got for belts. What you'll see is this pulley is what turns the auto stop mechanism down here, right? It's what turns that cam, and that's what also kicks the stop button when it catches on the little hook there when it stops turning. I got one here that's pretty close. Let's just see if I can find a belt for the capstan. I'll just loosen this off a bit. See if I can find a capstan belt that's... Look at that bearing. Wow. I was not expecting to see a sintered bearing in there. I was expecting to see like a little nylon bearing. Although this belt here seems to be... Like this one seems to be relatively tight. I'll just see if I've got one. If I've got one, I'll change it. I might have one here the same. Is this the same? This might be the same. But yeah, I'm going to put this new belt in. Put that one over there. I think this is the right belt. Yeah, that's the right belt. Yep, for sure. Okay, I'm going to put a drop of oil into this sintered bearing because it's going to need it. So we'll just do that. There. That'll soak into that bearing and keep it good for years to come. I was expecting it to be like a nylon piece like that, but look, it's got an actual sintered bearing. That is, like, this is good quality. I actually can't wait to hear this thing. And then the decision comes up to, at this point, am I going to keep this or am I going to sell it? I'm thinking I'm probably going to hang on to this one because it's a dual speed. I mean, I don't think I've ever had a cassette that's been at 15/16, and if I did, it was a long time ago, and normally I would just record it at 1 7/8 and in software drop it down in half, right? But if you can play it back at its original speed, then you can certainly get a half decent transfer off it, that's for sure, without having to do anything in software after. Okay, 2 new belts. They're the 2 old belts that came out. Put the rest of these away. Look, 4 wires to the motor. Your black and red is obviously the power. These are probably FG for frequency generator if it's got a servo on it. It says servo, so it might have a servo circuit. We'll screw down the circuit board again and see if this thing works as it should. Now, back in the day when this was new, this would have been the type of unit that was carried around by radio or newspaper reporters to interview subjects. Both newspaper and radio reporters carried tape recorders, contrary to the belief that newspaper reporters just took notes. Some of them did, but most of them in the day carried a tape recorder so that they could get it on the record. That way there was no mistakes, they could transcribe it later. This is the type of unit that would have been carried by a reporter. It wasn't typically what you would find the average person using around the house for recording, like kids running around the house recording everything like everybody did when we all had these tape recorders when we were kids. We didn't have fancy ones like this with variable speed and dual speed and volume and tone and record levels. We had basic tape recorders. This would have been a relatively high-end unit. Well, let's see if the auto stop works properly now. Stop the reel from turning. And it stops. And then it will trip like that. So you see how the auto stop works on this? When it's running like it's supposed to, the turning of the take-up spool keeps this reset. It's got a spring here pulling it back, and this pulls it forward. On rewind, we'll see what happens on rewind. If I'm rewinding the tape spool turning keeps this moving. When the tape stops turning, it flicks that little catch and then shuts it off. On play, so if I stop the reel turning, it stops. So that works. When you put it in pause, interesting things happen. Because the pause lever stops this whole mechanism from turning. It actually disengages that gear. You see the gear below that's turning. When you put it in pause, it disengages that. This is your play idler down here that drives the take-up hub directly from the capstan shaft. This is the main drive idler which drives the tape. And fast forward and rewind, you can see it's strong. The idlers are not worn out because I can stop that from turning. I think, let's just make sure that it goes into record. Looks like it does. And the switch sounds like it's getting clean. Look at this one, you just push one button. You don't have to push record and play. You just push record and it goes into record mode. You thought of everything. One button record. One button record. You didn't see that, but most tape recorders you got to push record and play. Not this one. There, you're hot. Again, this is something that was for reporters. So they're there, a story's breaking, they got their tape recorder ready to go. Police interviews as well, right? Just hit record. None of this, you gotta push 2 buttons down. Yeah, just hit record and you're good to go. We're gonna try it out now. I'm gonna get a tape and play a tape on here. We'll even do a recording on another tape. I want to try out and see if everything works, and then we'll throw it together. Okay, let's see if this thing plays. I'm sure I'm going to have to clean these controls too. Oh yes, got to clean the controls. So let's just get in here and clean this.
When your gadgets are down and your lights won't glow, you get the problem and it's starting to show. But don't you fret, don't let it get you down. 12-volt vids is the name that's going round. With a wrench and a smile, they'll fix your despair, bringing life back to your gear, fixing everything with flair. 12-volt vids, they're the ones to call, bringing power and joy.
Tone control.
It all, every wire in place, every bolt tightened right. They're the rock stars of repair, shining bright in the night.
Record level.
From car batteries low to devices that stall, where the pros bring the skills.
Okay, that control needs to be clean too.
You got an old radio, they'll make it sing. When your gadgets are down and your lights won't glow, you got a problem, man, it's starting to show. But don't you fret, don't let it get you down. 12-volt vids is the name that's going round. With a wrench and a smile, they'll fix your despair, bringing life back to your gear, fixing everything with flair. 12-volt vids, they're the ones to call, bringing power and joy.
I guess this shows the battery level when it's playing.
Every wire in place, every bolt tightened right. They're the rock stars of repair, shining bright in the night.
Fast forward. That goes. Tape counter works. Rewind. Yep.
We're rolling out.
Oh, cool. It's got a Q function. How cool is that? Looking for a specific part? Controls changing speed.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, big up to all the viewers. Listen to the vibes. Down in the heart of the beat, we're rolling tonight.
Sounds fast.
Everything's alright.
That's the right speed there.
Stars to the sounds that make you feel free. We're grateful for the love of the family.
That's the right speed.
Bright lights cruising the lane with every video drop. You're calling our name, so we sing it loud. Let the world hear our sound.
There's the default, but that's going too fast.
I'm so real. We're sharing it with you. From the project.
I wonder if there's more controls to set it. I bet you there are. I bet you these controls over here set the speed. Yep, that control.
When your gadgets start to
Let's get that tuned in.
and your worries
Actually,
keep on
you know, better put some
like
cleaner
a
in there.
never-ending parade. Don't you fret, don't you stew, just take a breath. 12-volt bits is the answer. It's like a sweet caress. From screens that flicker to those tangled wires, we'll bring the spark back and ignite your desire. Smooth fix by 12-volt bits, so let it roll with a map.
See how close? Let's see how close I can get it just listening to this. I'll put the tone tape in after and see how close I got it.
When your gadgets start to
That's sounding pretty close.
and your worries keep on piling like a never-ending parade. Don't you fret, don't you stew, just take a breath. 12-volt vids is the answer. It's like a sweet caress. From screens that flicker to those tangled wires, we'll bring the spark back and ignite your desires. Smooth fix by 12-volt vids, so let it roll Hear the magic touch restoring your soul. With a gentle sigh and a twist of a thread, 12-volt bits will bring life back instead.
That sounds about the right speed, but let's just verify that with the 440 hertz A string. All right, play. A little bit sharp. There we go. What about half speed? Oh, you know what? That switch is probably we'll get the same string as well, right? At half the speed. There's half the speed there. I should clean that switch on the side here. I think it's probably dirty. It might be causing it to shift a bit. What do you think? I think that switch down here needs to get a shot of cleaner as well, because that could cause it to drift. If we can get in here and clean it. See what I mean? Morse code. Okay, let's just check our speed again. Now that I've cleaned that switch, I should have done that before doing anything else. Alright, so the half speed, we should still see the 5 string because it's now half the speed. And that's A string, there we go. There's half the speed, and of course this will there we go, we're close enough. And then half speed right into that damn switch. There you go, there's half speed. Wonder how bad the music sounds at half speed. Alright, let's listen to some real music. See how some real music sounds. And then I'm going to do a recording before I throw it together. We'll just do a recording with the built-in microphone. Alright, let's just load another tape that I should be able to record on. I've used a standard type tape because this doesn't have Chrome capabilities. I was trying to figure out what the hell this is that's on here. But I noticed it's Music Bakery. It was recorded at 3 3/4. Let's crank it up here. Yeah. This must have been when I tested a deck that has 3 3/4, because some of those did too. Well, what the hell is that all about? Beep, 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 beep. Okay, it should be recording now. I don't even know what mode I'm in here. Manual record. There we go. Meter seems to be sticking a bit. I'm overloaded, that's for sure. Another thing we gotta fix. The VU meter is stuck. Okay, so I'm on manual record level now. If I crank it up all the way, we go into distortion. It's also got a clip. I think that's limit, and then there's auto, which is this is one mode here, and what is this other one? Well, whatever that one is. But anyway, it should be recording. We'll just play it back. Okay, so. Okay, here's our playback. Okay, it should be recording now. I don't even know what mode I'm in here. Manual record. There we go. Meter seems to be sticking a bit. I'm overloaded, that's for sure. Now I turned the volume off there as I was tapping on the meter. Meter's still stuck. We'll pull the meter out and see if I can unstick it. Okay, so I'm on manual record level now. We crank it up all the way, we go into distortion. It's also got a clip, I think that's limit, and then it's auto, which is, this is one mode here, and what is this other one? Well, whatever that one is, but anyway, it should be recording. We'll just play it back. It doesn't sound that good, does it? Kind of sounds a bit distorted. See if I can pop apart the meter, which I can. It's just held down by tape. What's sticking on here? Besides the fact that the paint is all coming off of it. I have a feeling this meter might be toast. Just looking at it. I mean, the red paint's come off of it, but the seems to be sticking. Okay, I think I got it. Alright, let's just try this again. Put the cassette in, put it in pause, and hit record. Check 1, 2. Okay, that's better. See, now that looks a little better. Alright, now, that's in auto level right there. We'll put it into, I guess the next one's limiter. Auto level, and then the limiter, you've got a manual control, but it will limit how loud it will get. That's limiter, you see? I have full manual control, but I've got the limiter set so that it won't go over, and then in full manual mode, well, now it can go right to the top. So we'll set our record levels, and we'll try recording right about like that. Okay, I've now set the record level manually. The meter's working properly, and this should be a clearer recording than before when I was well over the maximum level. Okay, I've now set the record level manually. The meter's working properly, and this should be a clearer recording than before when I was well over the maximum level. Okay, that sounds pretty good to me. I don't think I have any complaints about that, so I think at this point I can put the handle back on it, and I can put this unit back together and have that warm fuzzy feeling all over that I've got an old classic tape recorder that works. Oh, you know what we didn't test? We did not test the slow speed. We'll have to do that. I have a sneaking suspicion that was the wrong screw. That should have been a short screw. The long screws go in the back. So I'll have to remove that one. Hopefully it didn't go through the bottom of the cabinet. Yes, that shit does happen. It's funny, you know, a number of years ago, I was working at a customer's house doing his internet install for a neighbor. The house has been torn down. In fact, I had a video of the house being torn down, and they've put a new house in place of it with a golf course on the putting green on the roof. But I was there when the original house was there, and the guys from Brighouse TV came out to attach a TV on the wall, and the guy's attaching the bracket to the back of the set, and he asked the homeowner, he says, "Can I borrow your drill?" Because the guy had mounted his own TV mount. He'd mounted that before they showed up, and they were going to mount the TV to the bracket and put it on the wall. And he said, "Can I borrow your screwdriver, your cordless drill to attach this? Because I got to put these on real tight." That was his words. These got to go on tight. And the guy's like, "Well, be careful because it's in drill mode, maximum power." "Oh yeah, these need to go on tight. No problem. We're professionals. We've done this before." And they proceeded to attach the TV to the wall bracket and tighten them down, and all I heard was a click. And he turns the TV around and plugs it in, and he drove the screws through the screen. And the guy's like, "This is the delivery guy." This wasn't a kid. This was an older guy, right? And he's like, "Yeah, I think we gotta take this one back. This one's defective. It's got a bad screen." It's like, "Yeah, it's got a bad screen because you dumbasses broke it." So they're heading back. We got a laugh out of it because they loaded it back in the box and they loaded it in the truck, and they're driving back to the store where they bought it. And we were joking, and the guy's like, "Yeah, I know Gary." The guy that owns the store. He says, "I know Gary. He's a friend of mine." And he says he's going to be calling me. So the phone rings, and yeah, it's the store calling, and he says he's like, "Be quiet." He says, "I'll put this on speakerphone. This should be fun." He answers the phone. "Hello." And it's like, Mr. So-and-so, right? "Hey, it's Gary calling from Brighouse TV." I think that was his name, Gary. And he goes, "Oh, yeah." He says, "Yeah, my guys were there, and they're saying that the TV was defective, it's broken." And he goes, "Yeah, well, I don't know." He says, "I was with the Telus guy working in the back, working in the other room. We were putting in TV, right?" And he says, "I was with the Telus guy." He says, "And they just told me that the screen was broken." And Gary's like, "Now, come on, man." He says, this is me you're talking to." Oops, got a little oopsie there. Got to straighten that out. He said, "This is me you're talking to, man." He says, "Those jokers, they broke the screen, right?" And he's like, "Well, I don't want to get anybody in trouble. I didn't see anything happen." He says, "They just told me that the screen was broken." He goes, "Yeah, come on. We both know." He says, we're both grown-ups here." He says, "Those jokers, they over-tightened the screws and put it in, right?" He says, "It's okay." He says, he says, "You can tell me the truth." And he's like, "Well, I don't want to get anybody in trouble, man. I didn't see what happened. All I can tell you is that they told me it was defective." "Okay, fine." He says, "We both know what happened." And he says, "They're on their way back with another set." He says, "Don't let them break this one." He says, "Don't let them put it on with a drill." He says, "They got to do those by hand." I think that they had done it more than once, but yeah, we got a good laugh out of that one. I feel their pain because it never happened to me because I wasn't a delivery guy at the shop, and I was long out of the shop at this point. I'd been out of the shop for years, but I know exactly where he was going with that one. And if it had been my boss at the time, if that had been me or any of the guys that I worked with, my boss would have made us buy the set. He would have just said, "You're paying for it," and he would have made us pay for it because the guy that I worked for, that was just the kind of guy he was. That's why I have a Sony Trinitron with a broken cabinet. I've told you this one before too. I got a nice 20-inch Trinitron. It's got a beautiful cracked bezel because I got electrocuted basically by a microwave oven transformer because my coworker distracted me, and I didn't get electrocuted. Obviously, I wouldn't be talking to you if I got electrocuted. I got a good jolt. Went in my hand and out my elbow. Same arm. I was not grounded. I was on a rubber mat with rubber shoes and I had one hand in my pocket. But I couldn't let go. I couldn't let go of the tools. I had to jump. My legs still worked because I couldn't let go. You're just like, you can't let go. You're just like this. So I jumped, and when I jumped, I knocked down a TV that was stacked on top of another set, and it fell and broke the cabinet. And my asshole boss made me buy the person a new TV because the cabinet wasn't available as a replacement part. So he made me buy the customer a brand new set. And I didn't think I should have had to because it wasn't really my fault It got knocked over because I was trying to get myself from being electrocuted, but the guy that I work for, he didn't see it that way. He didn't see it that way. In his eyes, I knocked the set over, therefore I had to pay for it, and it cost me like $800 or $900 is what he made me pay, because the guy that I work for was just a piece of crap. And you know, when someone kicks and you say I should go piss on their grave, well, this is a guy that I wouldn't mind doing that. I wouldn't mind pissing on his grave, but I worked for the guy for 20 years, but as I say, it was all the little things, one after another, that added up to me getting the hell out of that place when I did. Oh, come on. It doesn't want to go in place. What is it? Why does it not want to go in there? Is this not in the right position? It's almost like this isn't in the right position. Does it go there? That's better. That's better. Okay. Yeah, that's better. But my old boss, he's gone. Cancer got him. His son is gone. Cancer got him. His other son has got him. Jumping off a bridge got him. I'm serious. His son jumped off a bridge a few years ago. All right, let's see this thing work one more time. We'll do recording. Put the knobs back on. You gotta clean this thing up. It looks disgusting. Came out of the smokehouse. Check, check, check. Okay, that's working. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, recording. We'll switch the speed down here. Where's my speed switch? Is it that one? All right. I guess that's the slow speed there. So we're now recording at 15/16 IPS, which is the long play speed that this machine was famous for. Long play speed was for things like interviews and meeting recording and so forth, because that's what a recorder like this would have been used for. It would have been used to record meetings, interviews. Reporters used them. Anyway, I'm just kind of rambling on about this so that we can see how the sound quality is at the slow speed. So let's just rewind it. All right, I guess that's the slow speed there. So we're now looking at 15/16 IPS, which is the long play speed that this machine was famous for. Long play speed was for things like interviews and meeting recording and so forth, because that's what a recorder like this would have been used for. It would have been used to record meetings, interviews. Reporters used them, businesses used them.
Dictation, for example.
They would dictate and have it transcribed onto a typewriter back in the days, before we had widespread use of computers. Anyway, I'm just kind of rambling on about this so that we can see how the sound quality is at the slow speed. So let's just rewind it. And we'll do the same. We'll do it again at the faster speed. Okay, now I'm testing it at the regular 1 7/8 IPS so we can hear the difference in the sound quality, as there certainly will be more fidelity at the higher speed. But this gives me the capability of transcribing old tapes that might have been recorded in the slow speed, and that's why I intend to keep this unit. Of course, the tape ran out there, but that's okay, because we can hear it. Testing it at the regular 1 7/8 IPS so we can hear the difference in the sound quality, as there certainly will be more fidelity at the higher speed. But this gives me... You see, so that you heard it right there. The difference in the sound quality between the two of them. This one is fixed. All I need to do now is just clean up the cabinet, which I don't need to do that on camera. This one's ready to be put back into service. Just had to clean the controls, clean all the controls, clean the switch, change a couple belts in it. It's good as new. Superscope by Marantz, C202LP. Good old vintage 2-speed cassette recorder. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.